Good morning. Today is Monday, the 21st day of Kislev. We continue the second part of the introduction of the Tanya, which the Alter Rebbe wrote. He calls it the compiler's foreword. Alter Rebbe, with his humility, he called himself the compiler of the Tanya, and he compiled teachings from his rabbis, from the books. And yesterday we learned the first part of the introduction, which, by the way, the introduction of the Tanya is a very, very important part of the Tanya. As a matter of fact, there's great sages that mentioned and talked about the Tanya. They compared the Tanya to the written law of the Torah, and a lot of interesting facts is in the written Torah, that we have. The 5 books of Moses is divided to 53 portions. The Tanya also has 53 chapters. There's another interesting fact that in the Torah, most of the portions of the Torah begin with the letter Vav, except for 10 portions. And the same thing is also in the Tanya. Most of the portions begin with of the chapters begin with the letter Vav, except for 10. And I forgot who said that, mentioned about the Torah. You know, the first book of the 5 books of Moses, the Chumash Bereshis, the book of Genesis, covers a very big number of years from the creation of the world until the Egypt, the going on to Egypt, talking about and the first portion of Bereshis. The first portion of Bereshis covers close to 1,000 years. 1,000 years, the very first portions. And they said that this is what the introduction of the Tanya. The introduction is such an important thing. And today we're going to see why it is so important. Because in the introduction, the Alter Rebbe tells us that the Tanya that is written then covers every single answer, and it is for every single Jew for all times. Any answer, any question that the person will ever have, you'll find the answer in this book, in the Tanya. And yesterday, in the first part of the introduction, the Alter Rebbe addressed the concerns of the Hasidim, and he mentioned about the questions, the problem that they have when he said he wrote the Tanya, so that they don't need to come and see him personally and talk to him about their problems, the spiritual problems. And for that reason, he wrote the Tanya. And he mentioned that there are concerns that, number one, people are not able to understand well when they read the book. And even if it's a godly book, which talks to each neshama, nevertheless, not everyone is able to find the part of his neshama that is connected with the part of the Torah, with his specific part. And Alter Rebbe comes here and answers in today's class, in today's lesson. Alter Rebbe addresses these questions, these issues that the Hasidim raised. So we're going to look inside. I'm going to do it inside. Just a second. There we go. The Alter Rebbe, ach beyoidai umakirai koamina. But I speak, however, he says, of those who know me well. עם כל אחד ואחד מאנשי שלומנו שבמדינתנו וסמוכה שלנו. And each and every one of the Anash, of the community, members of the community, in our country, in the countries nearby, אשר היה הדיבור של חיבור מוצא בינינו, with whom affectionate words were often exchanged in private audience, וגילוי לפני, כל תעלומס ליבם ומייכם עבודת השם התלויה בלב. And who revealed to me all the hidden secrets of the heart and the brain, and the problems that they had in the service of Hashem, which is dependent on the heart. Says the Alter Rebbe, Aleim titoif milasi l'shoini eit sefer. To them shall my words seep through, and my tongue shall take the form of a scribe's pen. V'kontreisim elu anikroim b'shem Likutei Amarim. In these pamphlets that the Tanya was originally given out as pamphlets, that is entitled Likutei Amarim, a compilation of teachings. So here the Alter Rebbe is saying, this is Beyoidei Umakirei Kemini. I'm talking about those who know me. Now, what about those who don't know the Alter Rebbe? And the Rebbe points out that this is the Alter Rebbe. He chose to put this part in the introduction of the Tanya. Being that he put it in the introduction of the Tanya, and as part of the book, he didn't just wrote this letter to the community as a side letter and told them, okay, this is I'm sending you the book, the Tanya, and on the side I'm sending you a letter. No, he put the introduction, this forward, he put it into the book, and it became part of the book. That means that the Alter Rebbe is talking about the Yoidai Umakirai, those who know me, and not only those who know him then, but also the future neshamas, because we're talking about the neshama of the tzaddik that connects to the neshama of a Jew. And therefore, this is not limited. It's not limited to the people who are just there physically, but it also all the future generations. Those who know me. That means that when we get to know the Alter Rebbe through this book of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe is coming here and is teaching us, and the Alter Rebbe is connecting with us. And here in this book, we can have the answers to every single question that we have. Continues the Alter Rebbe and says, Aleim titoif, and continue again, Melukoti mipisvarim mipisoifim kedoshei elyon nishvosem edem emfosem etzleinu. And this book, which is compiled from the books and teachers, heavenly saints who are well known to us, וקצת מהם נרמוזים לחכימים באיגרס הקודש מרביינו שבארץ הקודש תיבונה בסקרנים. And some of them are hinted with in the holy letters from our rabbis in Eretz Israel, and this the Alter Rebbe is referring to, of course, his holy teachers are by Mendel Haradaker. וקצת שמעתי מפיהם הקודש, the students of the Maggid, וקצת שמעתי מפיהם הקודש ביוסם פוי עמנו. And some of them I heard from their mouth, from the saintly mouth, when they were here before they left to Eretz Israel. וכולם עם תשובות על שאלות רבות אשר שואלים בעצה כל אנשי שלומנו דבנדסנו תמיד. All of them are answers to many questions posed continually by the Anash, the people of the community from our country, Each according to his stature in the service of Hashem. So to receive guidance for themselves in the service of Hashem. And it says, "Liyois ke'ein azman grama oid lehashiv lechol echad ve'echad al sheilasa v'pratus," because time no longer permits to reply to each and every one individually on their questions and the particular questions they have. So that's why, says the Alter Rebbe, there's no time. That's why I wrote this book of Tanya. V'gam hashikha metzuya, and also because forgetfulness is common, people forget, so they'll come to me and they'll forget what I said. I'll say, Al-Kain, therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, therefore, Rashamti kol ha-tshuvos al kol ha-she'elos, I therefore recorded all the replies to all the questions. This is only a person with the Alter Rebbe's abilities is able to write such a thing. I wrote all the answers to all of the questions. Lemishmeres leois, liyois lekol echad ve'echad lezikoren b'neinov. And this should be preserved as a sign, serve as a reminder in everyone's mind. And therefore they'll no longer need to press for a private audience. Because in them, in the Likutei Amarim, in this Tanya, he will find peace, tranquility in his soul, and true counsel, in everything that he finds difficult in the service of Hashem. And therefore he says, his heart will be firmly secure in Hashem and God, who completes and perfects everything for us. So this, says the Alter Rebbe, the Tanya is written and has every single answer for every single question in the service of Hashem. However, there's another problem. As we mentioned in yesterday's lesson, that some say that they're not capable of finding the answers. Says that, so here the Alter Rebbe addresses this issue. And he whose mind is too limited to understand how to derive advice from these pamphlets, from the book of Tanya, so he should discuss this problem with the former scholars of his town, and they should enlighten him. Basically, the Alter Rebbe says, don't take the book that Tanya learned by yourself, learn it with someone who can guide you, and you should be able to find the answer from the book. And now the Alter Rebbe addresses the scholars. And to these scholars, I request that they should not lay their hands upon their mouth. They shouldn't avoid helping others to understand the Tanya. So if you approach anybody, you say, come learn Tanya, says, no, not for me, tell them the Alter Rebbe says you have to. And the Alter Rebbe says these people, they should not conduct themselves with false modesty and humility. It is misplaced modesty. It's called falsehood. Is that the Talmud says, if a person knows Torah and he refuses to teach the Torah to someone else, is severely punished. On the other hand, there's also this great reward when someone, a scholar who teaches people who know less than him, there is great reward. The Maimar Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Cohen, as our sages of blessed memory said, Al Pasuk Meir Einei Shneihem Hashem. There's a verse that says, God enlightens the eyes of them both. It's talking about a poor person and a rich person get together. They're talking about spirit in the intellect or knowledge. Then Hashem enlightens the eyes of them both. That means that even the scholar who is knowledgeable, when you teach someone who knows less than you, then you yourself get much, much more enlightened. Hashem enlightens your eyes. Because God will cause his face to shine upon them with the light of the countenance of the King, which provides life. And may he who provides life to the living grant us the privilege that we're the privilege to living to see the days when no longer will one man teach another to know me. Because they will all know me. From the smallest to the greatest. This is the time of Mashiach. Mashiach will be able to learn. God will see from Hashem himself. Hashem. Where the knowledge of God will fill the earth as water fills the sea. Amen. Kain Yehi Ratzin. Amen. May this be His will. And here the Alter Rebbe also addresses to the people to protect the people who took the Tanya into print, because when they had originally the Tanya was in pamphlets and was copied by handwriting, and there was a lot of problems. There was mistakes when you copy naturally, and there was also intentionally some people who opposed the Hasidus. They wanted to make it look bad, so they took and they copied and they changed words intentionally, so people should mistakenly think that there are not good things saying in the Tanya. And then that's when they decided to go and correct it and edit it and to print it. And people invested a lot of money to print it. So the Alter Rebbe here writes to protect these people. They shouldn't have any financial damage. It says, after these pamphlets have been distributed, and it's called that was distributed among all the community, and it's called rabbis, and it was numerous transcripts at the hands of diverse copyists. People differently copied, and as Shoini means different ones, Meshuni means strange ones. This is referring to those who intentionally put mistakes. And due to the multitude of transcriptions have given rise to an exceedingly great number of textual errors. And therefore, some important people. So the spirit of the noble man mentioned on the previous page has generously moved them to make a personal and financial effort. To bring these pamphlets to the print house, and which is cleaned from all any errors, and thoroughly checked. I congratulate them on this worthy deed. And here the Alter Rebbe says there's a clear verse that says, "Cursed be he who encroaches on his fellow's border." I mean, it's a clear prohibition to cause financial harm to someone else and going in his business. And the Torah uses the word aru, which is a curse, which includes a nidich, a curse, a nidich, excommunication, and so God forbid. Al kain therefore says the Alter Rebbe, ki Yehuda ve'oid likra koasina. I come, as in the Talmud talks about a certain law that in the Talmud says, how do you know that this law is so? And the Talmud brings a verse in the Torah. And then the Talmud says also in Yehuda, in Judea, they also have a custom to do something similar. So this Talmud says, what? Yehuda, you have a clear verse. You have to bring a custom what is done in Judea. It's a clear verse. Alter Rebbe says here also, it is a clear verse that brings and says anyone who causes damage to someone else financially, getting in his area, in his territory, then it is cursed. It's a clear verse. So the Alter Rebbe says, I'm adding more, but it's really a clear verse. Like whatever I add is not as necessary. But nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe says that he adds the Mishdegu de Rabba to put invoking strict prohibition of kolam adpisim, all the printers. Not to print those pamphlets that were mentioned above, not by themselves and not through their agents. Without getting permission from the above named, for 5 years since the printing is completed. And those who listen will comply, will be blessed. They will be pleasant. Will come the blessing of good. Divrei המלקט, Likutei Amarim, and Amrim. These are the words of the compiler of the aforementioned Likutei Amarim. So here we completed the introduction, the foreword of the Alter Rebbe. And Amir Hashem, tomorrow we will start the chapter 1 in the Tanya. Thank you very much for joining. And remember, the Tanya is just one part of the Chitas Chumash Tilim Tanya. And the link on the YouTube description, you will have also links to the Chumash, the daily Tehillim, and the daily Rambam. Any questions? Now is the time.